Hi, this is Fiona Cherniawska from Source. I'm going to talk to you about the Indian consulting market that we're just publishing a report about. So India grew by about 4% as a consulting market in 2012, which puts it on a par with the much more mature markets of Germany, but actually puts it well behind some of the other emerging markets. So Russia grew at about 17%, the GCC, the Gulf region, grew at about 20%. So why is India not performing so well? Well, part of it's to do with a sluggish economy, and there's a hiatus ahead of the upcoming election, and that always dampens demand for consulting services. But there is some good news. We saw strength in the financial services sector, and we saw a lot of work around energy resources, and indeed in the public sector and the healthcare sector in particular. What's driving demand there? Well, a lot of it's to do with keeping costs under control. As Indian organisations face a slightly more uncertain economic future, they're trying to make sure that their profitability stays ahead of the game, and they're also trying to look at opportunities in overseas markets and to restructure themselves to compete effectively against global multinationals. So there are pockets of good activity there in the Indian market. Looking further forward, we see some big opportunities around technology. A lot of the Indian clients we spoke to talk about investing in technology more in the future. And there's quite a lot of catching up to do in some organisations, but there's also a desire to exploit the new opportunities of digital media, social media, etc. in Indian companies. However, I think if we're looking further into the future, it feels like a market that's in a balance. So on the one hand, positively, you've got the rise of domestic Indian companies who have been small, now becoming mid-sized, and are looking for opportunities in overseas markets. They need advice from consulting firms about how to grow, but also the governance and structure, policies and processes that go with being an international company. So all that's going to fuel demand in the future. And that's quite, I think, a significant transition for the Indian consulting market to go through. It's moving away from purely working for big multinational corporations, whether they're Indian or Western based, to also working for this new mid-sized market of significant firms by any standards, but firms that have not been particularly exposed to the vagaries of the global economy. So that's on the plus side looking forward. I think on the downside, if you like, on the minus side of the picture, is pricing, and indeed some degree of surplus capacity. Because the market's not been growing so well in the last year or so, it's got quite a lot of consulting firms with people sitting on the bench, not quite occupied. That's compounded by a shift in the whole offshoring market, where clients in the West, or whether it's Western Europe or North America, repatriating some services back to those locations, meaning they're needing less support from companies who traditionally worked in India with those resources. That means there's more resources on the market, and of course that has a negative effect on prices. This has always been a market which is quite brand conscious, but it's also price sensitive as well. And it feels as though with growth looking still as though it will continue in the sort of 4 to 5% bracket, and consulting firms having quite a lot of spare capacity, that the main problem here will be prices. But find the right model, find a way of being able to deliver services in a cost-effective way, then there are plenty of opportunities in the Indian consulting market in the future. If you'd like to have more details about our report, please go to our website, which is www.sourceforconsulting.com.